Hello again and welcome to Lesson 5 of the Masuda Ashi introductory course. Today we're going to talk about basic patterns for the Masuda Ashi chart and their application. First of all, please look at the chart here. We have 6758. This is Sony's daily chart, and you can see the Masuda Ashi chart here on the top with the short term, the medium term and the long term Masuda Ashi real body lines, and the candlestick chart below. Now let's have a look at the basic pattern. This is like a textbook example to simplify the explanation. As we've talked about in the past, a pink zone represents an uptrend or rising share price energy, and a blue zone represents a downtrend or declining share price energy. And you can see that in our basic pattern diagram here, we have the left hand side is showing a downtrend because it's blue, and on the right hand side we have the pink zone, which is representative of an uptrend. Now, for the purposes of this explanation, we're only going to look at the short-term Masuda Ashi real body line, which is this kind of zigzagging line here. This is the more volatile of all of the three Masuda Ashi lines. And in addition to the short-term Masuda Ashi line, we're going to look at the medium-term Masuda Ashi real body line, which is this smoother line here. Now, although I've mentioned in the past that we always read the Masuda Ashi chart, all three lines simultaneously, as in this case here, for the purposes of this explanation, we're just going to focus on the short-term and the medium-term Masuda Ashi real body lines. Now, a key point when we're talking about the short-term and medium-term Masuda Ashi real body lines is to, first of all, focus on the medium-term Masuda Ashi line here. Now, the color of the medium-term Masuda Ashi real body line is indicative of the overall trend. So when the medium-term line is blue, in general, you have a downtrend situation, and when the medium-term Masuda Ashi line is pink, you are in an uptrend. And there are a couple of other characteristics here. First of all, when the medium-term Masuda Ashi line is in a downtrend, i.e. when it is blue, the short-term Masuda Ashi line usually traces its path below the medium-term line, as you can see here. And vice versa, when the medium-term Masuda Ashi line is in an uptrend, when it's pink, the short-term Masuda Ashi line usually traces its path above the medium-term line. So these are the two key points that I want you to remember today. The first of all is the color of the medium-term line. Oops, that's when the medium-term line is blue, you're in a downtrend, sorry. And when the medium-term line is pink, you're in an uptrend. And on top of that, we have the short-term Masuda Ashi line behavior. When the medium-term Masuda Ashi line is blue in a downtrend, the short-term Masuda Ashi line usually traces its path below the medium-term line, and the reverse is true when the medium-term line is pink in an uptrend. The short-term Masuda Ashi line traces its path above. So these two concepts are quite basic and probably not that difficult to remember. And this ties in again to one of the key features of the Masuda Ashi chart system, which is that you can identify trends and turning points at a glance. Now, let's study the relationship between the short-term and the medium-term Masuda Ashi lines a bit more. You can see here that in this overall downtrend where the medium-term line is blue, the short-term Masuda Ashi line has on occasion these small rallies where although it is declining in general, it sometimes pulls back or rebounds slightly, but usually it encounters resistance at the medium-term line and will stay below the medium-term line, continuing in the downtrend. Now, often when it approaches the bottom, the short-term Masuda Ashi line will break above or break through the medium-term line. And you can see marked here by this circle. This is called a golden cross. golden because it's a good signal that the share price could be approaching a bottom and then rebound and rally upwards again. On the other hand, when we're in an uptrend and the short-term Masuda Ashi wave is trending above the medium-term pink Masuda Ashi line, you'll have on occasions the short-term Masuda Ashi line coming back in what we call dips. These are small kind of pullbacks in an overall upward trend, which do provide good opportunities for buying as long as the uptrend keeps going up. Now, how will we know when the uptrend has finished and when it will turn into a downtrend? Well, we can first of all look at the medium-term Masuda Ashi line, which is changing back from pink to blue here, and also the short-term Masuda Ashi line has broken below the medium-term line here in what we call a dead cross. Dead because it's not a good signal. Well, it signals that the share price has probably reached a peak and is likely to go downward hereafter. Just again to reiterate the two key points for today's lesson, the most important Masuda Ashi line to look at in terms of identifying trends immediately is the medium-term line. When the medium-term line is blue, that signals a downtrend zone, and when the medium-term line is pink, that signals an uptrend zone. And the other point was the relationship between the medium-term and the short-term Masuda Ashi line. When the medium-term line is blue, the short-term line will usually trend below the medium-term line in a downtrend. And after it breaks through in a golden cross here, when the medium-term line is in an uptrend or is pink, then the short-term Masuda Ashi line will usually trend above it, as you can see here. Now, let's take a look at Sony's chart in real life and apply this knowledge that we've just been studying. Now, you can see here we have this short-term Masuda Ashi line, the more volatile of the three lines, it kind of in a zigzag choppy pattern, and this second line here that slightly smoother is the medium-term line, and the much slower undulating curve is the long-term 75-day Masuda Ashi line in this situation, the daily chart. Now, can you see where the medium-term Masuda Ashi line changes color? It's right about here. That's pretty easy to tell straight away. And as per our textbook example, the short-term line in an uptrend has kind of pulled back here slightly or on a dip, but has met resistance at the medium-term line and has kept on going up. However, as you can see here, the medium-term line has changed from pink to blue, from an uptrend to a downtrend, and the short-term Masuda Ashi line, while it had trended above the medium-term line in the rising phase, it is now broken through the medium-term line in a dead cross and continues on well below the medium-term line in a downtrend, just as we have studied. And well, this is more recent data, and we can see that there looks to be some action with the short-term line butting above the medium-term line here. So perhaps this could be a bottom and signaling another uptrend from here on. So we should keep a close eye on this. But back to the two main points of today's lesson. While the medium-term line is pink, it signifies an uptrend. When the medium-term line is blue, it signifies a downtrend. And during the uptrend phase, the short-term Masuda Ashi line will usually trend above the medium-term Masuda Ashi line, and in a downtrend, the short-term Masuda Ashi line will trend below the medium-term Masuda Ashi line, just as this chart shows. Now, this example is slightly different from our textbook example because we had the downtrend on the left-hand side and the uptrend on the right-hand side. This is the reverse. We have the uptrend on the left-hand side and the downtrend on the right-hand side, but reading the charts is exactly the same. We have a dead cross here and a golden cross here, although it seems to be in a slight correction phase. There's no clear pattern just yet. That is all for today's lesson. We will go into more detail regarding the basic pattern textbook chart example that we had here in lesson number 6. I look forward to seeing you there. Goodbye.